What's up guys, it's Paul here for the 95 Investors Club channel. In this video I wanted to follow up with you on how the Disney earnings play played out. In the last video I showed you about how I got 5 Iron Condors on it, and I also got Strangles on it just as a hedge. And I showed you that I locked in a $777 profit on the Iron Condor already, but that I was still holding the Strangle for a potential continuation this week, okay? So I wanted to follow up with you and show you exactly how that worked out. So to give you a quick recap, I initially got 5 of these Strangles where I got the 147 call and the 127 put for a total cost of $715. So to follow along the math here, total cost of $715 initially. Because Disney dropped eventually on Thursday, I decided to push down the puts from 127 to 123, and it collected a credit of $285. So I'll add that here. And then later on, obviously after earnings came out, because Disney spiked a bit, the puts obviously lost a lot of value, so I decided to just close out of them for a credit of $55. So add that here. And then finally, because I was expecting a potential continuation this week, I decided to average down on my 147 calls. So I got 5 more of the 147 calls here for, at first I got 2 for $64 and then 2 more for $108. So my net investment on the Strangle right now is $547. But luckily, because Disney did end up having a continuation on Monday, I was able to, the calls did go up quite a bit, and I was able to sell out 5 for $415 at first. And then it started dropping a bit, so I decided to just close out of it just to lock in some profits. So I sold the last 5 at $340. So this was a net profit of $208 on the Strangle, okay? So if you do the math on both the Iron Condor and the Strangle, this was a net profit of $985 as a combination of an Iron Condor as a Strangle, okay? So in my opinion, I think this is a pretty good strategy that worked out quite well, because the Iron Condor helped against the IV crush on the Strangle, but the fact that the Strangle didn't expire for an additional week, that gave it time for Disney to recover and potentially profit on the calls as well, okay? So I think this is a pretty good strategy that I'm planning to implement in a lot of earnings plays. Depending on how the stock actually moves, one of them is going to benefit, but I think having Iron Condors as a hedge against your Strangles to protect against an IV crush can be very, very beneficial in the future, okay? So I wanted to make sure that I showed you that. I also wanted to show you an earnings play on C Limited and how that worked out. I'll show you exactly what I placed at first, okay? So C Limited came out with earnings this morning and they dropped about 4%, but the Iron Condor that I placed on it was, I got 5 of the 205 calls and sold 5 of the 200 calls, and on the put credit side, I got 5 of the 150 puts and sold 5 of the 155 puts. My overall credit for 5 of them was $952, but because C Limited didn't move a whole lot and is still within this range of 155 to 200, these Iron Condors shot up 81% overall, okay? About 79% just today. So as long as C Limited stays between 155 and 200 by November 20th, which is the expiration, I'll get to keep the full credit of $952, which is exactly what I was hoping for, okay? I also did get a Strangle here. I'll show you what I placed. So similar to Disney, this Strangle was a hedge against the Iron Condor in case C Limited did shoot up quite a bit. At the previous earnings, they did shoot up about 15%, so just in case that did happen, I decided to get just one of the Strangles just as a hedge. It cost me $338, and obviously they're down quite a bit here because C Limited didn't move a whole lot, but like I said, similar to Disney, they don't expire until November 27th, so in case there is a further continuation this week or next week, either on the downside or the upside, one of these options should potentially recover a little bit. Obviously, I'm not expecting to make a profit on the Strangle here, but for the fact is, this cost me only $338, but the initial credit on the Iron Condor was $958. So if that Iron Condor can completely expire worthless, my net profit on this would be $952 minus $338, which is at least $614, even if the Strangle expires completely worthless, okay? So even at this point, I could potentially just sell out of it for $71, and this could put my net profit at $614 plus 71 at $685, which is not bad at all, considering this was like a 2-day trade. But again, I think this combination of an Iron Condor and a Strangle has really been beneficial so far, and I'm definitely planning to play it on more stocks going forward, okay? Now, similar thing with NVIDIA. NVIDIA is coming up with earnings tomorrow, so I got an Iron Condor in that as well. Obviously, they're down as of now because, you know, Iron Condor, the whole point of making a profit in Iron Condor is the decay day over day. So I placed it just today. I got an average credit of about $910 here. You'll see in the history below. Yeah, average credit of $910. And the way I place it is I needed to stay above my short put, which is 497.5, and below my short call, which is 572.5. And NVIDIA is still trading at 537. Okay, so depending on how it moves after earnings, I'm really hoping to make a profit on this as well. I did not get a strangle on NVIDIA just because the premiums were pretty expensive. Ideally, I wanted to set it up in such a way that the strangle costs less than the credit you get from the Iron Condor. That way, irrespective of what happens, you're kind of still in a profit. But because the premiums were still pretty expensive, I did not end up getting a strangle. So I'm curious to see how this would work out. I do have shares anyway, so irrespective of what happens, I should be okay on it, but that's what I placed on NVIDIA. With NIO, I got a strangle on NIO as well, where I do have a bunch of options which I placed at different points, but from an earnings perspective, I got 4 of these 56 calls and 8 of the 35 puts here as an earnings play. NIO didn't move a whole lot after hours, so there is a potential IV crush here, but I really think that they could move potentially tomorrow or even next week based on their conference call, which I think is going to be at 7 p.m. EST. So I'll be keeping an eye out for it. I also have 2 debit spreads, 41.42 debit spread for December 18th. Those should be, if NIO can stay above 42 by December 18th, that should be very profitable. I have a couple of other puts here, which I kind of broke even on. You know, I got them a long time ago. They didn't do a whole lot, but in terms of the earning play itself, I have the strangle here for the 56 and 35 puts for November 27th and a debit spread for December 18th. So I'm kind of curious to see how this is going to play out. Obviously, if it doesn't move a whole lot tomorrow, the calls are going to lose a lot of value. So this might potentially be a loss. I should have gotten an Iron Condor put against it just as a hedge, similar to what I did for C Limited as well as Disney. But you know, it's still a lessons learned. But I still think NIO can move a whole lot, either on the upside or downside, similar to what happened with Disney. So I'm still going to be holding it tomorrow as well as next week to see if it can recover. And if it does, I really want to minimize my losses or at least break even at this point. But that's what I played on NIO. Okay, so those are the 3 earnings plays that I wanted to discuss with you guys. Disney was a really good profitable trade. C Limited worked out great as well. NIO might be a loss, but I'm still holding on to see what's going to happen tomorrow and next week. And if there are any other further earnings plays that I'm planning to make, I'll definitely be sharing that with you guys. I'll be posting it on Discord, so if you haven't joined already, be sure to do that. The link is going to be in the description as well as a pinned comment, okay? So if you enjoyed this video, guys, please to smash that like button. It helps out the channel quite a bit. Leave a comment if you have any questions or comments, and subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell, okay? Thanks again for watching, and until next time.